Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Zach Galenzi, and this is Relax and Renovate, where I offer free education on becoming a home renovation pro. I don't want to waste your time. This is not going to be a video for somebody who already knows what they're doing. This is going to be a video for somebody who is just starting out. This is a channel where I love to teach and I love to show people what I do, but I'm also humble enough to where I appreciate getting feedback, because I know there's a whole world of information out there and there are unlimited ways that you could do one task, and mine is certainly not the pinnacle of all of those ways. So make sure you watch the video from start to finish and let me know what you think. Let's get to it. Okay guys, there you have it. This is the newly painted cabinet. It was done in Fine Paints of Europe, their eco brand, in a satin finish. And I think it looks beautiful. The customer bought a new marble top, and I installed the faucet yesterday, and so I'm just leak testing it right now. We'll go underneath and take a look down here. You can see I painted the drawers on both sides here. And the plumbing supply lines are hooked up. I opted to go with a 20-inch line to give me a little bit more room, and then I just kind of twisted them and coiled them in place. As you can see from the old ring right here on the plumbing, I just kind of extended it a little bit and was able to reuse the parts without any leaks. This vanity is over 30 years old, I believe, and everything's held up really well. The customer's done a great job over the years taking care of everything and maintaining it. And so it all worked out really well. It's important to understand that if you're just simply swapping out one top for another top and you're not changing the cabinet at all, your plumbing should hook right back up to the existing plumbing. You should be able to use the same P-trap and the same supply valves, because you're not changing the location at all. Yep, a little bit of dirt in there. We'll get the vacuum and take care of that. The marble backsplash, I used some hybrid caulk that is paintable but also silicone based. And so that looks nice. And the drywall repair looks pretty good. She's going to want to change out those outlet switches and fixtures. And then she got a light up there, which I had to move because those glass pieces were kind of covering the mirror. So I think that looks much better that way. And you can see I did a drywall repair behind here, and that turned out great. So we'll turn back to the leak test. So whenever I do a leak test, I look down at the bottom to see if there's any obvious drips, and if there's not, then that's good. And then I look at all of the points that are hanging. I look at this point down here to see if there's any water here, because sometimes you'll get water that comes up over the top and water that comes here. And then I look at the connection between the faucet and the supply lines and see if there's any sort of water coming out of here on both sides there. And then I look at the other parts of the valves right here to see if there's any water coming off of the plunger behind it or the bottom of the assembly. So that seems to be okay. Now this is the second leak test that I've done, and they have both been dry. She wanted me to paint the trim to match the cabinet, and I think that was a great idea. So now I'm going to get some brad nails and attach the trim, and the cabinet will be almost finished other than putting a little bead of clear silicone here. I didn't have any yesterday, so you're always going to want to make sure that you put a nice bead of silicone, clear silicone behind here to keep water from wicking its way back there, obviously. Now the other way that you can do this is you can install the faucet after you put the caulk on. That's totally fine if you want to do that. I don't do that because when I'm replacing the vanity top, it's easier to install the faucet with the vanity and then install the whole thing together rather than having to climb down in the cabinet underneath and screw on all the connections. So it saves me a little bit of time, and because I'm using the tape, it allows me to just kind of work my hand behind the faucet and make a clean line happen. You can see what you get when you use the tape. You get a nice even edge all the way along there. Now sometimes if you use thick tape, blue painter's tape will actually leave a little bit of a ridge next to your caulk line, and you can see it, what I'm talking about right here. You see that little ridge? You can actually fix that by putting your tape just on the outside of that, and then you paint, and that'll help fill in these gaps right here against your texture, and also it'll help close that gap with paint. The other thing that you can do is you can take your finger and wet it and kind of smear it down a little bit after you've taken the tape off. But I would have caution doing that because you can oftentimes mess up your grout line, so you have to be very gentle when you do it. The easier, I think, more effective way is just to, when you're painting, just hold your tape a little bit beyond that and then just paint and fill it up a little bit. It'll give you a cleaner line that way. But at least then you know it's sealed. The other thing that you can do if you want to hide this edge is you can caulk it before you texture it. If you caulk it before you texture it and then you put your tape down here and you texture over the whole thing, you won't get this rough caulk line on the edge of it right there. The reason why I ended up doing it this way on this marble backsplash is because the customer wasn't sure whether or not she was going to be doing a tile backsplash or whether she was going to be using the marble piece, and so I just opted to go ahead and texture it beforehand. And you can see this mirrors was left in the way too. Had I taken the mirror off, I would have been able to texture further up the wall, but you can kind of see the texture line underneath there from where I taped it all off. I still think it turned out well, and the nice thing about this is once you put a coat of paint over everything and you stand back and look at it, you won't really be able to see that caulk edge up against the texture there. So it's just one more variation of how you can finish that off. So that's it. Thanks for spending your valuable time watching this video. I appreciate you being here. If you have any comments or suggestions for me on how I might have been able to do this better, go ahead and let me know. I appreciate the open discussion. This is a channel where I teach, but I can also learn too. So thank you guys. My name is Zach Galenzi. This is Relax and Renovate. Until the next project, I'll see you guys later. Bye.